Peace and blessings, everybody. Greetings I bring on a beautiful Sunday. Welcome to yet another edition of Royalty with Saran. And today, as you can see, it's not just me. I got Kings on the screen, Kings in the space, where I'm going to be doing King's Court Part 2. As you can see, well, there was somebody else there just now. One of the proposed kings, he's missing in action at the moment. Hopefully, he will be able to join us as we go along. But we're going to get started. We don't want to keep you back too late today. I'm going to introduce and then, well, Fire. I know for those who watch part one, you would see a gentleman in the right corner at the top. That's Fire, and he's replacing Rock today. Rock has another engagement plan, and so he's filling in. And trust me, the name says it all. It's going to be Fire coming from Fire. All right. Wind, for those who didn't watch last time, can you just give a brief intro as to you and what you guys do? Wind and Fire are part of a very powerful collaboration. Could you lament a little bit? Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Um, so I am Wind, and Fire and I are one half of the Four Elements United. The Four Elements United are a group of young Black men that intend to bring consciousness to our people throughout the diaspora. So we operate a YouTube channel, a podcast on YouTube, the Four Elements United, and I hope that you guys check us out because we put out some dope episodes.
Indeed. Endorse fully, fully. If you guys are looking, I know I do what I do on Sundays, but in terms of conscious content coming from Kings, that's where you should really be. Truly, truly enlightening conversations. So Fire, it's you, King. What up? What up? What up?
What up, sis? Thank you for having me. When reached out a few days ago asking if he actually put it on you. He says Sarah will be honored if you would join us this Sunday.
Which is true.
He knew that had a higher probability of getting a yes if he put it on you. Smart. He's smart and strategic. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. Peace, Brother Roz. Pleasure to meet you.
Respect, Roz.
And last, but by certainly not least, at least last for the moment, hopefully Gavin will join us. Ras, what's good? What's good?
All is well, just in twos and looking forward to the conversation differently. Honored in a way to be in the presence of them two brother. I listened one of their program the last time, and then guys really deal with heavy stuff. You know what I mean?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So nice to share the platform with them brothers there, and just looking forward to the bill.
Okay. All righty. Well, let's get started. I know the queens are excited about today. They're probably more so looking forward to this conversation more than any other king who follows my page, but for good reason. For good reason. So, as is customary, I'm gonna be bouncing all over the place to tickle the mind. So, my first question to you. I don't even like to put it like a question. It's more of a conversation. But in light of what we see on social media every day, and that's something when we had the conversation with the queens, we recognize that there's a huge divide between the feminine and the masculine energies at this moment. With that in mind, now we have seen the birth of the new age, strong, independent woman. I can do it on my own type thing. And what the pushback is from the kings, at least seemingly so, they're not enthused, they're not excited, they're not enthralled by the new independent woman. Why is that? The independent woman, she can take care of herself, she can pay her bills, she can do this, she has her education, she has her degrees and all that type of thing. But why is it that there isn't more of a gravitation towards that woman? I'm asking for them. And
Yeah,
who
asking
wants to
for a
go
friend,
first?
huh?
Who wants to go first?
Who wants to go first?
Okay, all right.
Go ahead, Roz.
All right, let me take a swing. um, well, as was with the reasoning on the last occasion, we're really looking at two different part of the relationship. That's the part as to how you survive in the social environment. You need the man to be the protector, the breadwinner, that kind of traditional position. And then you have the part of religion of the relationship that purely deals with the relation between the two individuals. And there are certain things that can be achieved with that social part.
Yeah.
That cannot be achieved, but without this other part, the social part will not be adequate. Now, when the woman take the position that, okay, well, I can work for my own money and be independent and so on, that's completely achievable. It's completely possible. But then the relating part with the masculine and feminine energy, then you're going to lack that.
Mm-hmm.
You see? So you got to be highlighting that part of the relationship, because this is the reason why it's named relationship, because it has more to do with the relation between the two individuals. You understand? There are things that you can achieve in that relating part that the money cannot fix it.
Absolutely.
You know? Money can't fix trauma.
True it.
But the relating part can fix trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Money not necessarily let you develop love. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And integrity in these things. But the relating part will do that, because if I do something that cause you hurt, as they say, if you have any kind of offense, you gotta have to remedy. If you understand law, that's the balance of law. You understand? That when any injury is caused, you gotta have remedy. You
Right.
see it? So whenever there's trauma, then you have to have something else that can come into play to balance that out, bring that back to zero. And it is the relating part of the relationship that does that. So so the feminine can be independent, work for bigger bucks than the guys, all of that and all of that. But the healing and so on that comes, and these deeper things that come with the relating part of the relationship, they will have problem with that if they're viewing their role as one as like competing with the men or getting rid of the men, thinking that the only purpose that the man serve in their life is to provide. So since they're providing for themselves, okay, well, we don't need this thing. That would be an error. Huge. You understand? Because both energy meant to operate together. You understand? So that does be my short input as we develop.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Who's next? Fire one go.
Way to set it off, brother. You went deep right out the gate. So I want to piggyback what you're saying, because I think it's important to take a step back from the question and ask another question, which is, how did we get here? I think one of the chief issues between the masculine and the feminine is not that both parties not being mindful about how we got here. See, when you're mindful about how we got here, you understand that this isn't the woman doing something to you, against you. This is who she had to become, given the circumstances and the times at which she's in for her survival and her progression. Just be with that for a second. This is not something that she chose. She didn't choose to emasculate or demasculate you. She chose to survive and thrive. So this, put the guns down. It's not us versus them. It's not masculine versus feminine. It's about us surviving and thriving together now. Second point I'll make is this. The thing that if we're conscious that we have to deal with is, do we try to revert back to traditions or norms? Or do we define new traditions and norms and roles and
Yeah.
responsibilities.
Right.
Then you have to look within yourself. I'm more of a traditional guy. I would prefer, from a providential perspective, for me to handle everything and for my wife to be at home making sure she's handling everything domestically with support from me, of course. I'm not a lazy guy. I wash dishes. I just got done sweeping the floor. I'm going to mop it when we get off of this call, sweep the steps. You know, the boys will take out the trash, etc. But you have to decide who you are. Look within and see who you are. Ross said something, and I want to make this last point about providing. Providing in our minds, especially the Western mind, goes immediately to finances. Finances and protection. I think finances is a singular bucket when we talk about providence, but protection is holistic. Protection from what? We're talking about protection from hurt, harm, or danger. We're talking about protection from poverty. We're talking about mental protection, emotional protection, spiritual protection, in addition to the physical protection. So just because a man may not, in this day and age, may not be the breadwinner of the situation, doesn't mean that he cannot still operate and exude in his masculinity. Here's the last thing. I said one more thing. There's one more thing. Sister, just because you have to go out and get it, and we understand, some of us who are conscious understand that masculine energy is required in a sense to go out into the world and get it. That doesn't mean that you have to take masculinity away from your man, or that you have to be masculine with him, because we don't want that. We want to be needed. We want to be needed. We are attracted to your femininity more than your physical beauty. We are attracted to that essence, that energy, because a straight man don't want to be with a woman who acts like a man. I don't care what Steve Harvey told you. No go. I don't want it. And I can see the rest of my time to win.
Go ahead.
So there was a question the last time that we spoke, you know, that asked about why men don't like educated women. And so this is in correlation to that question, right?
Yes.
So it's not that we don't like independent women, right? Because independent women are responsible women. They're secure women, right? For the most part.
True.
But the issue is this: it's the energy in which you conduct yourself, the energy that you bring to the conversation and to the relationship. We don't want any aggressive energy, right? No man wants that. You can't have a cohesive family, a cohesive relationship, a solid, healthy relationship if you have agitation and animosity, you know, in the undercurrent.
True.
And let me just say this, in addition to that, what's more so at the essence of it, forget about independence, because independence has never been our essence. Our essence is interdependence.
Definitely.
Cohesive family structure. It's always been a we culture. The European culture is an I culture. We have never been that way. We haven't been. The only reason why we got that way is because of integration subsequent to the 1960s. And that fucked us all the way up.
Oh my goodness, I'm about to pull out. Well, y'all may not understand the reference, but I'm about to pull out
when you feel that one, I can tell you feel it.
Fire. I mean, lady, and let me just acknowledge everybody in the comment section. Thank you guys for coming in, and thank you for commenting. Hi, Saran. Hi, Nadia. Nadia, what's up? You're missing out today, no? I know you would be here. Wow, there was a lot of comments. Hi, Charmaine, Silva. What is your new YouTube name? It's the Wellness Queens on YouTube. Ramona, what's good, beautiful? Hi, Quaylen. Kiko Sargent. Hi, greetings. Hi, Tia. Wow, what a way to start. Like, okay, so we discussed, I appreciate all of that. Let me just,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
put all of the frills and the excitement aside to really acknowledge what we heard. To the queens who are listening, I think it's very, very convenient for us to get defensive, especially speaking specifically to what Win said just now. Because some of us take it as judgment because we're so sensitive because just like Fire said, it's an operation mode out of necessity, out of survival. And so it's easy for us to become flustered, but take yourself out of the equation and just listen to the words in objectivity. And you will realize that the essence of who we are truly, truly is always we. I love and thank you guys for that. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
goosebumps and things. Okay, so my next question, and two persons on the call on the live, y'all are in America. And we know in recent times with the overturn of Roe versus Wade. Now I know this may not be something that's just, accessible in terms of being relatable to your lifestyle and that type of thing, but I do want to get your input on it. So with the overturn of Roe versus Wade, abortions are now illegal for the most part in America. Now, given the fact that abortions at times are not only a woman's decision, it's usually a request from a man. What do you think of that? Let me just hear feedback on that from the men's perspective. Yeah. I know for some persons, it's, the guys would be the first one with their hands up. Hey, look, I will contribute the money for it and that type of thing. With that being an option that's off the table now, how do you think? And I speak specifically to the Black community. What do you think the impact of that would be on the Black man as we move forward?
Funny enough, I'm listening to the inquiry, and thank you for it. But I happen to know, I happen to be conscious or mindful of more Black men who wanted to become a father, and that the opportunity to become a father was not granted to them by the woman who had been with child that they impregnated. So I'm really trying to get over there from the disposition of men requesting this or men wanting this. My guys, they like, man, they were crushed by the fact that they didn't have a say in the matter. And I happen to also be conscious to and mindful of women who went to clinics to abort pregnancies, terminate pregnancies without even telling the man that she was with child.
Right.
I don't know what that says about my network, but it is what it is.
Right.
these are the facts. So I'm always going to be pro-choice, and let me say why. I do not have a fundamental belief that that says that by terminating a life, and we can argue what is the stage of
Right.
viability, right? 3 months, 4 months. We can argue about that till the cows come home. But my fundamental belief is that no soul that is intended to enter this plane will be withheld or will be blocked. It may not come through that portal, that specific portal, but it's that energy, that personality, that spirit is going to come one way or another. So I don't hold that. Now, to answer the question in full about what do I think the impact will be in the Black community, I think it's not going to be positive in aggregate. I think that there are going to be people who aren't ready, aren't prepared mentally, spiritually, physically, financially to care for children who are going to end up having children. I think we're going to see more Black and brown babies in the system being put up for adoption. I think there's going to be more poverty. I think that will lead to higher crime in the state of hopelessness, which will see eventually an impact in our judicial system and prison population. In aggregate, are there some bright lights, some bright spots for sure? But I think in aggregate as a whole, that is how this will play out, unless there are some other rules that overturn it or make it possible for women to do what they feel as though they need to do for themselves.
Okay, got you. Got you loud and clear. Wind, you want to go?
I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but you know, all I could tell you is what I wish for our people, and from my vantage point, what I wish for our people is that we're very responsible for our relationships. I hope that we're responsible for how we care for one another. I hope that we're responsible about whom we have sex with.
Definitely.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that we are taking care of our own health and well-being and not, yielding that to someone else or some other entity.
Mhm.
Um, I hope that this is perhaps this could be a wake-up call. I don't know. I mean, all of us would be speculating, about the outcomes of something that's, fresh and new. But like I said, at the end of the day, my hope is that we become more conscious in our thinking and our behavior. And if we do that, then our community will just simply be so much better off.
I agree with you. Um, Ras, what is your thought on it?
Yeah, really, I just basically like to, commend the perspective that Fire bring in his opening. You understand, in looking at the whole question of choice and so forth.
Hmm.
And yes, what you were saying about the adoption situation, I understand that's the way they are seeking to balance the whole thing out. By whenever you have these situations where one would be seeking to abort a child, well, instead you can like donate it into some agency where some other people who cannot have children or whatever will adopt them. So yeah, those elements would definitely play out. But at the end of it, I mean, as Win Noah said, well, no one can really predict, at least not in no absolute term, what the outcome would be. But I think what Win highlighted in terms of the care for one another and so forth, well, that definitely will clean up a lot of the mess that can come out of it, because it's going to come down to more responsibility, more care, and so on, on the part of both man and woman to,
Absolutely.
to ensure that the life and so on is, considered well. I mean, you can't pick me by accident, you know what I mean? And so on, you know what I mean? And then you say, well, I'm not ready for that and this kind of stuff. So it cause you to even be more responsible in
Yeah.
terms of how you go about your business sexually and so forth, So I guess we're in for a ride where that is concerned. But definitely what Win said about the care, that will definitely clean up a lot of the mess that can come out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. So, okay. Um, I'm just nudging just a little bit further down the road of procreation. Now, there has been a suggestion that in America, I forgot what state proposed it first, but after a baby is born in the hospital, like how you do all the other vaccine and that type of thing, they're suggesting that paternity testing is something that should be done instantly. And that would, of course, the suggestion is that it would forego the jacket, as we call it in the Caribbean. All the gift babies, it's not yours, and then you only find out 10 years down the road after bonding with that child and that type of thing. What are your thoughts on something like that where it's mandatory So not if, ands, or buts or anything like that. You're going to find out if the person in the hospital with you, if he's indeed the father. What are your thoughts on that?
Before any of us answer that, I have one question. What is the procedure for ascertaining paternity in that state?
Swabbing.
Oh, it's a swab. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So right after the baby is born, the swab. Both okay.
Yes.
Both parties take a swab. Okay.
So as you sign whatever birth paper and all that, it has to be confirmed then that you are indeed the father.
Let me say this. My godfather, rest in power, um, took care of a child that he had with his ex-wife. He took care of that child as his own. He had his suspicions, but he saw the baby, he saw that little girl, and he loved her as his own for, I think it was 6 or 7 years before actually getting a paternity test. He gets the paternity test, and the child is not his. He is crushed. He is devastated. And by some law, I don't remember the law off the top of my head, but I do recall that my godfather he was then on the hook to pay child support and support the child until she was 18 years of age.
Yeah.
Now, he did it, but he would have chose to do it. The court mandated it, put him on papers such that if he did not pay his child support, that he can be fined and imprisoned for a child that was not his because he paid, because he didn't determine the paternity at the time of birth or early enough. So to answer your question from my perspective, I was with him through that. And many a days he cried on my shoulder, his godson, about the whole situation. I'm 1000% in agreements with that. And then lastly, to be responsible, I'll say this. Sometimes, the government puts rules in place for a myriad of reasons. But sometimes it's to curb, and if we embrace it, we can curb behaviors that are unconscionable. To Wen's point earlier, we could move with a standard of care that says this rule doesn't, this law is in place, but it really doesn't impact me because I'm not moving in a way that will require me to be hurt by this, right? So I'm perfectly fine with that rule from the outset, because a lot of brothers have been jammed up for children that are not theirs. It's not fair to anybody in this situation.
Yeah. Thank you. Wind, I see you chuckling. Mama's baby daddy. Go ahead, Wind.
So, I mean, if there's a question regarding paternity, I mean, it's only right that that question be addressed as soon as possible. If they have the technology to ascertain that, at birth, then by all means do that. But I think that government is overstepping some of its boundaries. I don't know about this issue, but on many issues as it pertains to our bodies and how we operate and function. So I'll just input that.
Okay. I hear that. I hear that loud and clear. Let me read some comments. Mama's baby, daddy's maybe. Of course, we all know that. You'd be surprised how many people find themselves in that situation for various reasons. It's a good precaution. I don't see an issue with mandatory paternity testing. My only concern is who will offset the cost. It is actually proposed in the states to be a government expense. So it would be included in all of your hospital bills. So, yeah, it's not easy.
And that's a cost that I think most people would happily, pay, because, what's $100 versus $100,000.
I hear you. Saran, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, well, I too, I see that something positive. I don't really see the negative. I was interestingly considering what Will say about the government, overreaching. And there's some stuff that I've been following knowledge-wise that, I have a little bit of that concern as well. But to be honest, and I think Fire alluded to it too, sometimes some of the rules that are implemented are, they're useful. And I would consider this one to be such. Really.
Okay, good stuff. So let's shift gears just a little bit. Shamin said it's not easy on the male and the family. Both parties, paternity testing and anti. I know, Saran, I see and hear you loud and clear. I highly doubt that that would be something that's really feasible here, but yeah, in America, I think the pricing on it was suggested at $80, I think. So it's it's minimal in scope of what they do have to pay at the end of the day. So let's shift gears. So expectations. I think too often the narrative is spun for you guys. Men expect this and man expect that, and it's just we say what we say, whether or not it's true, whether or not it's all made up. So I do want to get some feedback, and the ladies will take out our notebooks and we'll write very carefully as you guys explain what are your expectations from your mate. I know the last time around, for the most part, it was the person is supposed to be your piece. But if you could get into a little bit more details, they want a little bit more meat on the bone. All right, if you could just explain your expectations from your mate, whether it's, and I do want to tap into the three sects as well. I want the emotional part of it, the spiritual part, and the physical part. So if you could indulge us. Saran, you go first.
All right. Wow. For me personally, that kind of like a tough one. You understand? Because I approach these things having a list of stuff that I want to see. I guess being appreciative of self-space. You understand? I tend to not want to impose my idea of what you should be on you. You understand? But while saying that, there have to be certain basic attributes and so on that allow for me and you to sail smoothly. So if there's anything that I would expect is those things, you understand? The mutual love and respect and so forth, because those things would ensure you can love whatever color you love and different stuff like that. I don't want to touch those things because that's not my role. You understand? My role is just to ensure that you have these certain attributes that we can sail along smoothly. You understand? Within the whole complex, when you were talking about emotion and so on, emotion is going to connect to psychology, spirituality, and it's going to be, you have to have emotional growth as well. You understand? And maturity. So if I'm having any experience down that road, is that this person that I'm with, they have their mindset and growing, you know what I mean, in the different ways that they need to grow to make their relation with this other person a smooth one, you know what I mean, a joyful one, a fulfilling one, that kind of way. You understand? So if there's any kind of expectation or anything like that along those lines, it will be for you to be this kind of person that you're just about improving yourself and these things, and that's about developing your emotional counterpart, your spiritual counterpart, and so forth, and physical, of course. You understand? So as I say, I don't go much beyond that in terms of expectation in my mind. They always say the sure way to be disappointed is to have great expectations. So yeah.
I hear you. Fire, what you got?
I take that concept a little further, Saran, and I say, there's nothing inherently wrong about having great expectations. The problem ensues when those expectations go unmet. So it's the unmeeting of those great expectations, because my wife sure has some lofty expectations for me. I tell you that. And I'm not mad at her. I'm not mad at her. We're not at odds or at war. It just causes me to expand to a greater level of self in order to meet those expectations. So anyway, I'm going to keep my answer to adjectives because I had some time to think. Because Brother Isari went first. And so what comes to my mind when we talk about expectations of our women or our woman, is that the feminine comes to mind first. And so people always say, what does that even mean? Just Google it. Just Google it. Go ahead and Google it. Everything you see when you Google it is what I mean. And you'll see nurturing, you'll see cultivating, you'll see adoring or giving adoration and edification. You'll see all these things that make us go. Listen, we don't, outside of you all, there really isn't a lot of motivation to do anything. This is fire speaking for fire. If brothers are listening and you agree, give me some finger snaps, smash, give me some thumbs up. If it wasn't for women, other than surviving, hunting, all of my ambition, yes, it's about self-actualization, self-realization, and all these great lofty things. But the responsibility of a wife and kids give me a purpose that nothing else can provide for me.
Aye.
Left to my own devices, I would be somewhere fat, eating grapes and mangoes and smoking weed every day, all day. I'd just be on the beach with my feet up, getting high. I wouldn't do nothing. But because of that, all right. So if she's feminine, she's nurturing. She's got to be conscious. She has to be loyal and faithful. And I don't mean ride with me even when I'm wrong. Because the next thing I got here is to hold me accountable. I expect my woman to hold me accountable to my highest self.
Sure.
Resonate and relate to the king in me, not some little boy, not some little trauma, battered, broken little 7-year-old boy that's still the inner child that I haven't dealt with. I mean, deal with the king, deal with the God, Rob, Davon. I need that. I need it. I need it. Oh, I said my whole name. Sorry about that. Fire. Keep yourself healthy and looking aesthetically pleasing.
Okay.
We are very physical. We are very aesthetic creatures, probably a little more so than our lady counterparts. So keep it tight, keep it right for as long as possible. We know the looks fade, but and we got to do this for each other. It's not just a one-way street. And a domestic goddess. So, to me, if I'm going to run the world, you got to run the house. You got to run it. I can't run the world unless my house is in order. So if I got to run my house and run the world, what do I need? The value of you has been greatly diminished.
True.
Let's just keep it up. Let's keep it a buck in here. All right. So that's all I got. That's a short list. Now her list is like 4 times as long as that. But it's okay. I'm here for it. Go ahead, Wayne.
But man, I endorse all of that. And yeah, definitely. Because really, all the things that you highlight, if you notice, you connect that back to self and improvement of self. You understand? So I definitely agree with that. That's right down the line of my thinking. Because really, as a man still, man want to be a good king for man queen Rasta. You understand? You want to be the kind of king that your queen can be proud of and feel good about. You know what I mean? Firm like that. And vice versa, same way. You know what I mean? So these are the basic and reasonable expectation. You understand? To make things work harmoniously. So I'm totally endorse this.
Wind?
So I forgot to communicate a disclaimer. This is my opportunity to be absolutely unfiltered. And so in my unfilteredness, I will use some brazen language. And I hope that I'm not offensive because that's not my intent, you know, but I'm trying to communicate something and I hope that you guys feel what I'm saying, what I'm trying to communicate.
Respect.
And so for me, personally, if we call each other king and queen, right? We ought to have extraordinary high expectations for one another. Let's just set that straight. So I expect my queen to have some goddamn sense.
Let me grab my tea.
Will, remember you're supposed to be water, Win. You're getting really hot.
So I expect my woman to be exceptionally smart. Not just smart, but exceptionally wise. And there's a distinction between intelligence and wisdom. Just because you know something doesn't mean that you conduct yourself in a particular manner. Doesn't mean that you have a gift of discernment and seeing and a manner of eloquence and dealing with people, including your king. That's wisdom.
Respect.
And a lot of people are so abrasive and so selfish that we just kill each other with the tongues. A wise woman knows how to communicate effectively. Like Saran said, soft power.
Soft power.
True.
And like Ross says, you have to know your king, know your spouse. And knowing somebody is knowing how to effectively deal with that person.
True.
You know what triggers them. You know what they like. You know what they love. You know how to look at them, right? It's these little subtleties that a woman who really cares does and has about her being that makes her actually a queen. Like I said in the other session, many of these women don't know what divine femininity is. They talk the shit, but they don't live the shit because they don't know the shit.
Saran, you were right. This is beginning to get very hot.
Yeah. Well, listen, I love how the discussion is going because we're all answering positively to the same thing, but we're bringing a different perspective to it. So we're completing the circle between the three of us. Like, you understand?
That's a fact.
The type of woman that is described through the expectation through these two brothers so far, for me, that's the kind of woman I love. I love a woman that commands my respect. I'm going to naturally respect another human being. You understand? So if I have a woman there, I'm going to respect her. Because just for that simple reason, okay, this is a human being. I have to respect the human being. But you see, when she can command my respect, I love that. That in turn, it become a kind of strength to me and something that motivates me as the king now to stay up. Up. You understand? So listen, that's like my heaven being spoken here by these guys. You understand? Yeah, I love that. I love to be humbled by the greatness of the woman, like, you understand? Her divinity and all such. You know what I mean? You don't want to deal with a woman and you have this Eve that betray man in the back of your mind. You understand? You want to have something pure in front of you that you're just, it's like you easily surrender to, like, because you know you're safe.
And the heart of it all is knowing your culture and knowing your history. if you don't know your culture and you don't know your history, you'll fall for any goddamn thing, and you'll be any goddamn way. And that's the antithesis of who you actually are. You can never be a queen if you don't know your history and your culture. You can never be a goddess if you don't really know it. You can really never have a king if you don't know your culture and your history, and be that every day. If you don't eat properly and feed your family properly, you can't be a king, a queen, or a goddess.
You better say it. You better say it.
If you don't speak to your family in an appropriate way and be with your family in an appropriate way, you can never be a queen or a goddess. You can talk all the shit you want, but at the end of the day, you're not. It's a way of being. It's an everyday behavior. It's actions every fucking day. It's the small shit. It's the big shit. It's feeding your family fruits and vegetables. It's hydrating your family. It's nurturing your family. It's nurturing your king. It's teaching your babies history and culture. It's getting sunlight. It's getting fresh air. It's honoring the earth and the people around you. It's honoring family.
Good evening, everyone.
It's all of that.
Fullness.
Just joining with you guys.
Okay, peace, welcome.
So
welcome.
so all the social media bullshit, all the Louis Vuitton and Gucci, all that bullshit, it ain't none of that. That's not being a woman. Just because you go to Saint-Tropez doesn't make you a great, beautiful woman. A beautiful woman is a queen inside. It's in her behavior. It's in her wisdom. It's in her everyday action. It's her care, her love, and concern for her people.
Okay, drop the mic now.
Whee! Hello. Oh,
boy, Rasta.
Hello.
Militant Rasta.
Oh my goodness. We're the lightest day.
Can I make a distinction real quick?
Yeah.
True.
To piggyback what the wind just dropped. Sister Therese says, let me go back. She says, knowing the path and walking the path are not the same. I want to just bring some context and some clarity and some distinction to that comment, because from an intellectual perspective, it's not. But from a spiritual perspective, it is. To Wynn's point, everything that he just talked about in terms of being a god and a goddess, a king and a queen, to know thyself is to know thy essence. And inside of that knowing, there is no space of unconsciousness to behave in a particular manner that is not congruent with the knowing of who thyself is. So knowing, being, doing, having, when you really know. I'm not just talking about A's, B's, and C's like what they taught you in school. Like I know Christopher Columbus didn't discover America. No, when you know your essence, your consciousness will not allow you to govern yourself outside of being a goddess, being a god, being a king, being a queen, and it supersedes the physical. It supersedes the food that you eat and cook. We're talking about how you are, how you be. Mm-hmm. It is the isness of what and who the fuck you are. So there is where there is knowledge of self, there is healing, because consciousness exists there. There is building, there is love, there is peace, there is possibility. Because anything is possible from that space. I just wanted to drop that in.
True.
Have mercy. Hello, people. I know there are a lot of comments that I'm missing, and I appreciate all the posts and all the different contributions. But let me tell you, we know we're getting gems today. bagfuls. There's not no one or two gems. I mean, all of that. I appreciate it so, so very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Win, for just going there. Um, Somebody said it was almost like a spiritual outpouring just now, and I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah, I felt that.
Appreciate that. It was just
Yeah.
necessary. Necessary. I give thanks. Um, Wow, I don't even know where to go. It's like I want to continue going around the table on this very conversation, you know? Yeah, yeah, Saran, we're picking up plenty gems, jewelry store building.
Yeah, the
Um,
answers are very complete right now, so I can understand where you're at right now in terms of knowing where
yeah,
to go.
I mean,
They're
it's,
just so complete.
and I appreciate the different perspectives, and yet they're all tied together. Thank you, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you.
Queen, can we
Um,
talk? Can we talk about? Because we talked about. It's easy to talk about expectations, unmet expectations. It's easy to talk about what we want in draft lists. The hard stuff in a relationship. For those of you who don't know, I've been married 20 years, 19 years this year, 20 years next year, and I haven't even had my 41st birthday. So I've been married half my life, right? Um, what happens when that breakdown occurs? If we could pivot the conversation, because I think your listeners and viewers, to give them something that they can apply to their relationship today, right? Is okay. So we talked about everything up front, and we continue to talk about our needs and expectations in perpetuity. But what do we do when those high expectations, is when called out, are unmet? When they go unmet, who do you become,
oh,
and what do you do to reconcile it?
that's actually one of the questions, but
Oh,
go right ahead since you started. Share.
perfect. So if it just take a look at, no judgment, just we just doing some introspection. Who do I become when my expectations in my relationship or in life in general go unmet? What's the feeling? What's the physiological response in the body? Is it anger? Is it disappointment? Is it judgment for the one who's fallen short in your eyes? Right? Whatever it is, just get real conscious of it, so that you know whenever you're feeling this way in the face of unmet expectations, that you don't respond or react out of that emotion. Just acknowledge it. Hey, I'm taking it back. I'm upset. We talked about this already. She
Okay,
said, "Yep." Go ahead, sis.
one moment there. Kendall, you have a contribution to make? I think he was saying he wanted to add to the dialogue.
I
You good?
realized, right?
Okay, let me try and turn you up. Just a minute. Go ahead.
Okay, you can hear me clearly
Yeah,
now?
that's better.
Okay. What I realized nowadays, right? I'm a young guy. I'm 34 years of age.
Y'all can hear
And
him?
Barely, but we can hear.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Kendall.
34 years of age, and I've been in two serious relationships so far. The last one was 11 years, and I've been one presently now for 7.5 years.
Okay.
But what I realized over the years, right, is it's a man's job to respect a woman, right? Most naturally to respect everyone on earth, even the animals out there.
True.
But I realize nowadays that in a relationship, sometimes you will have your woman wanting to act like a young lady or a woman that you think that you would be interested in in the streets, right? So what I would like to add is this: you meet a woman and you fall in love with her for a certain reason. It might be her energy, it might be her character, it might be her looks, it might be her personality, whatever it is about that person makes you fall in love with them, right? And
Right.
then over the years, you guys will be together. In every relationship, you have ups and downs. But sometimes you will find all women trying to act like another woman, telling herself that, oh, you like to see girl out there with short skirts, so you put on short skirts.
Got
You
you.
understand? It's a
Mhm.
family. men, we are alphas, right? Our, we have minds like predators, right? That's what we were built. Some of us can believe in it, some of us can't. But I'm a firm believer of this. It's a man's job to respect a woman, but it's that woman's job to give that man something to respect.
Okay.
Now, you can want your man to respect you like the queen that you are, or you should be, and want to act like girls on the street. That you would be completely to your same man and say that, oh, you can't believe that you're interested in them type of people. But then you will turn around and try to act like the same type of people to try to prove a point. And two wrongs doesn't make a right.
I got you. I got you.
I realize this nowadays, women, okay, I'm gonna say this. Oh, our main purpose as men is to be that rock, that foundation for the family. You know, is to go out and make sure that the house has what it needs, the family is okay. And a lot of us men drop that role over the years. And it forced the ladies in them now to become the head of their family. Because they don't have a family that provide for his children. It forced that woman to go out and work twice as hard.
Mm-hmm.
And what I realized is because some women will do that, they create the instinct like they shouldn't, or they don't think that they have to do it because they pay their own bills, or you're doing this or you're doing that. Now, if that is the case and that's how you think you look at life, right? I don't think you should expect in return for that man to respect you. Because if you tell yourself you don't need a man and you're going to treat the man anyhow you feel like it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
When that man turns around and treats you the same way, you shouldn't be saying that, oh, I'm a woman, you shouldn't be treating you like that. Because you're a woman, but yet still want to act like you're a man.
I got you. I got you loud and clear, Kendall. Thank you so much. We've never really had anybody contribute from Zoom. Adding to the conversation. I really appreciate that. Thank.
And there's a lot of tension in relationship nowadays, especially when you find that the woman is more of the breadwinner or has a bigger salary than that guy. Most times it's like a weapon for that woman. And I don't think it should be because we have a lot of men out there having stay-home wives, we're taking full responsibility, and we yet still we lift our wives up to the top like the queen she is. We're not saying, oh, I'm the breadwinner, so you have to listen to me or you have to act that way. But when the situation is real, because what I realize is most women don't have vision. Men have a lot of vision. Most women they act off of feelings. So whenever a woman she feels good today, you have good energy. If she feels bad tomorrow, you have a bad energy. And I don't think it should be like that. Because when you treat someone like that, you're mostly telling them that, you're an option to me. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
You're not a
But I think
just
just to add to what you just said, or I don't know if rebut might be the right word. You did say woman, and I think the description that you offered is really that of a girl. So I think there's a major difference between that. If you get up and you just, everything that you do is just dictated by your emotion for the day, then in my opinion, not really talking about a woman, because a woman would understand that having a certain level of control of our emotions is a vital part of what womanhood is,
most women doesn't understand that. While a lot of women don't understand that. Perfect example. The young man that spoke a while ago said he's married for almost for more than half of his life, right?
Right.
Now, I am in a relationship. If I want advice from about my relationship, that is someone that I would feel comfortable going with.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's been in a relationship for so long, so he knows it takes sacrifice to have a relationship for that long. Sometimes you have to give, sometimes you have to take.
Right.
But a lot of women nowadays want to be taking advice about their relationship from their friend that doesn't even have a relationship.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you.
Let me interject for a second.
You live with your husband or you live with your boyfriend at home, you guys are trying to build a family, you're trying to grow together, you're trying to get successful together, but yet still you want to be listening to your friend over there that doesn't have a relationship, doesn't even have a clue what it takes to have a man in her life and secure that man and make that man feel welcome and make that man feel like the man he should be. Because I'm telling you, as a man,
I got you. Thank
And
you so much, Kendall.
let, let,
Thank
let,
you, thank you, thank you.
let me respond to this, because I think that what I've been trying to communicate for on this show and the previous show is that many of us, we have a house built on a fucked up foundation. And what I mean by that is that purpose is paramount. And many of us don't have, purpose in life. We're not honorable to our culture and our history.
Mhm.
And if we don't have purpose, a clear purpose, and honorable to our culture and history, then effectively we fucking sleeping with the enemy. And if you're sleeping with the enemy, then you can't have a functional relationship. You can't have longevity. It's gonna fuck up. That house is bound to fall.
Mhm. All right. So, thank you, Win. And again, thank you, Kendall. I really appreciate your contribution. Um,
Well, let me say this. Let me just say this real
mhm.
quick. We have to understand that we are interdependent.
True.
We need each other.
We do.
It is not our culture to be against each other. It is not our culture to flex on one another. It's not our culture to say, "Oh, I got $500,000 and you got 100,000, and you ain't shit because you ain't got. I got four more than you." That's become our culture subsequent to integration, but that's not our culture. And if we're not functioning as who we truly are in our essence,
True.
again, our relationships are gonna be all fucked up all sorts of ways.
Mhm.
And there's no bones about that. So if you're not, if you don't, like I said, if you don't know your history, you don't know your culture, you're not honorable to that, and you're not honorable to the fact that you're a black person, a black man, a black woman, and you're out for the black family and the black community, you're just gonna be fucked up.
Mhm. All right. I do want to give everybody around the table a chance to answer the topic, the question that Fire brought up in terms of who do you become when your expectations are unmet. Um, man, look out, people. What the queens them? What is this? You got Zoom? You got Zoom? Okay. So, Isern, who do you become when your expectations are not met?
Well, that's a critical point.
It
That's
is.
a critical point, and this apply more so to relationship where you're dealing with people who don't know themselves. Because in those situations, chaos broke out right there, because you do not have any base. You do not have any center. You do not have the element that you should use to override those experiences. I do agree with the brethren when he say that that particular part is probably the most challenging in the relationship. Because see, when things are going good, everybody can be good. You understand? When things
Easy,
get tough, there's
easy.
where you get different. You
Mhm.
understand? So that's really critical. And to me, it goes back to what we've been saying, the common theme. Have knowledge of self. Have that certain maturity that come with self-awareness, because that will enable you to bear out one another shortcoming, because we both are going to have them, because it's just inscribed in our nature. You
Definitely.
understand? Flaw is built in, not as a negative necessarily, but also part of our learning process.
Mhm.
So these fallouts that will happen in the relationship are actually, these are elements that you utilize in return when you're aware of yourself. You use these events in your relationship, you understand, to demonstrate the strength, you know what I mean, and the wisdom of your awareness. You understand? By reasoning your way through these things and cause healing and reconciliation. You understand? So that's a big point. I mean, the underscore for the whole night here, and we're not mincing.
I tell you,
When is not mincing, we're giving you the bottom line. If you don't get this self-awareness thing together and get your ass straight, then you're gonna have all kind of shit from all kind of angles. So there's no getting away from finding self, knowing self, because that's what make everything work the way it's supposed to work. You understand? And that's the bottom line. That's the ground zero of the whole conversation. You know?
Yeah, because we're all gonna have issues. Just know that.
Yeah.
We're all gonna have disappointments and disagreements. Just know that. There's no way to circumvent any of that. But what brings us together is the understanding and the commitment of being in a bonded relationship, having family, regardless to who or what, and honoring that through any difficulty.
True. Honor
You
it.
have to have a collaborative nature. Men and women need to collaborate with one another. You have to understand at the end of the day, we are family. And despite, what issues, what concerns, what disappointments, we are going to be together. And that's the bottom goddamn line. And we're going to work it out.
Yes.
Because disappointment and these expectations, that's a part of our selfishness, our selfish being. Again, our true nature is a we construct. It's a collaborative construct. And we have to kill the self. We have to kill our own selfishness to have functionality in our families, in our communities. Otherwise, we got just chaos and mayhem. And we see it reflected on the streets each and every day. We see it reflected on social media each and every day. With talking about baddies and, the bad boys and, Kevin Samuels and the this and the that and the, going to San Tropez and being flued out.
Get it right.
We see it in all sorts of nonsense. Is reflected in our community is craziness, and that's just not who we are. We can't have reconciliation, and we can't have solution in that vein. We have to go the opposite way. We got to go back to our essence.
I got a comment, and then I'll answer the question that I posed to the group. All right.
Respect.
The comment is this: to be responsible for those listeners who hear Wynn say we must kill or we must die to self. Understand that he is not referring to your divine essence. He's not referring to dying to your highest self, of course. He is referring to your identity, your egoic self, your false sense of self, the self that you constructed based on attributes and features and ideologies and concepts that are not of God. All right. So he's saying die to that, not your highest self needs to emerge.
True.
To be resurrected. And in order for it to do that, that other self, that fake self, that Jezebel self, that I'm the man, that
you saw the Jezebel in the comments.
Yeah, I saw that. Hey, he's talking about that self. Got to go in the way. Now I answer the question this way: how do I respond in the face of unmet expectations, particularly in my relationship? If I'm honest, and I am honest, is shit. There's two ways. There's an unconscious response or reaction, and there's a conscious response or reaction. I want to unpack the unconscious response or reaction transparently. When my expectations are met, I have a thought that I've been let down, or that she doesn't listen, or that she doesn't care. These are things that just by default, we got to be honest. And then I feel, maybe it's anger, maybe it's disappointment, maybe it's sadness, whatever it is, in an unconscious state, I may react or respond in an unconscious manner. It could be with acting out, whining, complaining, fussing, however it looks. That's the unconscious response to unmet expectations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Conscious response. The conscious response is mindful of everything that I just said in the unconscious. The conscious male, my divine self, my highest self, the God King me, said, oh, you're going to go through all those motions because those motions and emotions because you're human. Acknowledge it. Thanks for noticing. Now, how would you like to respond such that we can resolve these unmet expectations and build something that is ideal moving forward? And my response in those instances are with kindness, calmness. I respond first with trying to understand where the gap is versus addressing and attacking the person. In this case is my wife. So you deal with the breakdown. Somebody put it in the comments, like, you don't deal with the, oh, it was Charmaine. Address the issue, the situation, not the individual or personality. That's that's wisdom right there.
Yeah.
Right?
And there are a lot of gems in the comment section. Hey, look. I want to go back to, what was it at the top? Odin said, let me read Odin's comment. A woman that is aware spiritually would know how to deal with the emotional issues. Yeah, I mean, oh gosh, y'all, even in the comment section, dropping gems. Nobody can say they don't have it today. Pick them up, people. Thank you. You are all on point with the knowledge of self, but many are so messed up with the illusion of today. I agree with you, Sergeant. I agree with that. I agree with the brother. When men and women are not equal, huh?
Despite whether you think you're right and somebody else is wrong, we still have to honor and respect each other at the end of the day.
True.
And if you hold firm to that commitment, then many of your issues will just fall apart.
Smiley says our only purpose should be to procreate and coexist to keep our generation alive. There's where the family unit comes into play, because generations need to be molded through our history and culture. We need more of these platforms to help individuals find self. This is beautiful. Thank you, Smiley. Isn't it? I mean, hello. The Kings did not come to play. And I see you, Smiley, you're coming in with the next question, because that was actually the next one I was going to ask. Now, with all of that has been shared, of course, in recent time, there's more talk about polygamy now more than ever. So I'm just going to say the word and I'm going to throw it out there for you guys to give your feedback on it. Who wants to answer?
I'm gonna go last on this one.
I Saran, run with it. You see, Win just
I was hoping that you would take it first.
So it's you.
Hey, yo, look, big and serious. I'm not even sure that I am maybe the person to talk about this so much, because I mean, although I can totally relate, because you know what I mean, I've listened the reasoning on both sides of the fence. At least from a personal standpoint, you know, that's not something that I would take out. I really, you know, that is something that I desire, really. You understand? You'll have to be some, you know, some kind of special situation for something like that. I don't have that particular desire, you know what I mean, to have 2 and 3 queens and that kind of way. But for what I have learned about that, there's some positive to it, I guess, when you approach it for building wealth, you know, and a kind of a family structure, a larger family structure, because we have this tradition in Africa. And like, for example, I have a brethren, a Rasta brethren from South Africa. He has 7 of them. 7. You understand? And that's a normal thing for him. And all 7 of them are honored and so on. And it seemed to be a beautiful situation. It seemed to work. You understand? In their circumstance. So, I mean, I don't have any judgment personally. I guess it's more like a matter of personal choice. I don't know. I get kind of a little bit winded by getting drawn out too much emotionally. And I know in those situations, I see the potential for just, you know what I mean, a lot of emotional exertion in those situations. I could be wrong. You understand? But that's just my thinking, and my personal choice is to just get one whole woman. You know what I mean? And I'm good there. You understand? You see? So, you know, I can't go much further into that. I can't go much further, except to say, well, I'm not judgmental towards it. You know what I mean? I don't condemn it or anything like that. You know what I mean? But my personal choice is just, it's just different. You know, for those who can handle that, more power, more strength.
Got you.
Yeah.
Wind, you probably already claimed the last part.
So, you know, I there is no consensus as it pertains to polygamy or any other way of being. The question really is it for you? Is that your choice? Is that what you want to participate in? And if you do participate in it, make sure that it's on the up and up, meaning that whoever's all involved is that they respect and love. There's true honor, respect, and love there, right?
Yeah.
And there's a particular purpose. Like for instance, like back in many years ago, one of the purposes was because a lot of men died at war, and some men took on other people's wives to make sure that everybody stayed well taken care of. So there's certain strategic purposes for polygamy, right? But some of the nonsense that's going on right now, that's a whole different story. Much of that is lust ridden or sexual based, or it could be a pseudo economic situation where people are swayed to participate. But like I said, at the end of the day, the question is really for you: do you want to participate in it? And if you do choose to participate in it, make certain that you're honored, respected, and loved, and yet you reciprocate those principles as well.
Okay.
Big respect.
Thank you. Go ahead, Upire.
I'll be quick because Wayne was so thorough. I don't have a judgment about polygamy, polyandry, polyamory, all the polys. I don't have a particular judgment for them. I will say everything that Wayne said and just add that it doesn't work for me. And I can, when I think about all that it takes to care for my lady, emotionally, spiritually, financially, physically, to double that or 4, 5, 6 outside of hedonistic pursuits, pleasure seeking, thrill seeking, ego driven. I'm the man, so I need a harem. It's at this time, it's not for me. Now, when we talk about tradition and culture, I think we also got to be mindful of context, because let's just say that there were a surplus of women in the world or in the diaspora and a shortage of males. Polygamy is a viable solution for the bettering and the furthering of our people. 100%. 100%. Well, we're not in those times anymore. We don't have a 4 women to 1 male ratio globally or anywhere except for Atlanta. Atlanta, it might be 6 to 1 down in Hot Atlanta, 6 sisters to 1 straight man. But outside of those types of environmental circumstances, it's just not my thing. If it works for you, to Wynn's point, be honorable about it. It was Ramona. I think Ramona in her last relationship ended because her dude was polygamous, and she wasn't. And the only thing about it was he didn't tell her. He didn't tell her that he was polygamous.
Exactly. And then you see the comments saying, oh, well, that's not polygamy, that's cheating.
That's cheating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me add this one last thing.
Mm-hmm.
From an energetic perspective, because we're all so fucked up from trauma and all this craziness, you have to be very careful about who you deal with on a physical basis or a sexual basis, because you're transferring energies and absorbing energies, and all sorts of craziness can occur. And so, most people, it's very, as Fire alluded to, it's very difficult to absorb one energy and deal with one energy. But to deal with a mix of 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, you're asking for a nuclear bomb. And and I say this to men and women, you ought to be very, very careful about who you engage with, because this lifetime is quite serious. And many of us have a low level of consciousness and understanding about sex and energy. And so you have no idea the bomb, the potential bomb that you're playing with. So be very cautious and careful out there, for your own sake and for other people's sake.
I mean, I couldn't
Great
agree
point.
with you.
Great point.
I couldn't agree with you more. I do want to bring in a few other comments. I think a black man needs to be free and the woman needs to overstand worth. We need to get away from the individualism and all the jealousy. Wow. I mean, the comment section got me blown as well.
Yeah.
I mean, so much good stuff. Most time, our men in Antigua cannot handle 2 or more, plus they do not have the finances. Hello. And if I'm to be honest, even in our circle and considering exactly what you said, Don, oftentimes when I hear, when I reason with brethrens here, or and you hear the push for polygamy and that type of thing, it actually sounds to me like a way of self-surviving, and I don't know that should be at the core of what we do in terms of, I know in the past it was more, you're going to be fit to cater financially and provide whatever is needed as a king. But nowadays you hear the push for polygamy, but trust me when I tell you, they expect you to go and get a job, and they probably expect you to earn just as much as them. At least that has been my conversation. And to me, that's like, my mind is blown, because we easily say, oh, that's our past, that's our history. But what about the other aspects? The women weren't working. So if you're essentially creating an enterprise of women who you sleep with, that's completely different. That's not really the core of what used to be. But anyhow, look at that. There was nobody pushing for polygamy amongst the kings. That's awesome. I think that it says a lot. I know for some persons, it's one of those things that's, either you're strongly for, or you don't really have a dog in the fight type thing. But I hope
And from a personal perspective, men ought to take care of women, and it's an expensive endeavor to be in a relationship, especially in 2022 with the Gucci and the Fendi and all that.
and they're getting flued out.
Well, these women got $1,200 wigs, man.
And you know,
More than that.
was
I'll
actually
take
under
it.
the next conversation. The next topic, you seem to preempt it, Fire. But let me see.
Yeah, it's
Ramona
some
says, I have
$5,000 weaves out there. Plus, you got to pay for the BBLs and all these other surgeries, and
all of that coming in the
make
next
sure
question.
that they don't get killed in DR and all that.
Birkin bags, Louboutins, diamond rings.
Ramona says, I haven't been home for a while, but many in Antigua used to have a woman in town and one in country. Oh my goodness.
Don't do that to the Antiguan brothers like that, Ramona. Don't do that to the brothers.
I turn come out off a backup.
You're big and serious, Rasta. Oh goodness, look.
But you actually alluded to the next question, Fire. So this is the thing, right? I think Kendall kind of hinted at that in what he offered. He said that oftentimes you meet and you fall in love with a woman a particular way. And then, you know, you might be walking with your woman and, you know, the guy's head turn, watching something else, different aesthetic altogether. So my question is really geared on physical aesthetics. We know like makeup 10 years ago, 15 years ago, very different from what it is today. I mean, my hats go off to makeup artists in terms of it's almost like sorcery. You understand? It's truly an art form. It's one that I appreciate because I'm an artist. But at the same time, you know, there's a lot of you know, you don't really get to see the essence of the woman that you're with until it's washed off and that type of thing. But at the same time, it is beautiful a lot of times, not always. But my question again is on aesthetics. Today, it's the, like you said, the $1,500 wig, it's the extension, eyelash extensions, and all that kind of stuff. It's the BBLs, it's that type of thing. It would be remiss of me if I didn't ask for feedback from Kings on that particular aesthetic, whether or not you gravitate to it. Now, don't give a politically correct answer. Let me just start there. Don't just give a politically correct answer because I do want it to be an honest sharing so that, you know, for those of us who are women, if we understand that that's really what a conscious man likes, then, you know, maybe we'll do squats instead of BBL or what have you. So go at it. Who wants to go first?
Well, I'll go first on this one. I'll go first. Me, I talk about this with my guys a lot. I got one friend out of like 50 who likes his wife's wigs and likes wigs in general. I'm not big on fake anything. Maybe nails. But like I can do braids, but like with the whole wig, my wife knows don't come in here with a wig or you gotta, you know, somebody sleeping on the couch. I don't like it. BBLs, from an aesthetic perspective, I got group chats where we share pictures of girls with BBLs and we talk about how their backsides look like wisdom teeth. If you think about the big humps and then the skinny legs of the roof. Look, personally, it's not my twist. It's not. I'd rather you take the booty that God gave you and optimize it with some squats and lunges and step ups, than to have a fake butt. But that's just me, brothers.
Not right now. Let me give my view, Kendall.
Look at Isern. He's like, I don't know where to start.
Well, I guess I should really be the last person to speak at this because, but then again, I mean, you have Rastas. I'm a Rasta. And that's supposed to mean that, you know, you appreciate the daughters and them in their more natural form without all the accessories and so on. You understand? But I just say that's my personal preference. Me love them cleaner. Me love. I mean, whatever you do to enhance, make it be as close as it to your natural form as possible. You know,
True.
I don't want to see a pretty, extremely pretty person, and then we get home, you go into the bathroom, and you come back. I'm wondering who is this person. You understand? Don't go so far from your natural form. I can deal with little enhancement, and you know what I mean, because you know the girls in there have to look cute too. You appeal into the man same way. You understand? But yeah, as much as possible that you can keep it natural, for me, it's good. Nails and I don't know. I don't listen. I don't think a woman really need that really to make an impression, at least not on me personally. You understand? I don't need that. You can just come in your natural form and it's good. You understand? But at the same time, you know, different people have different likings, different things that appeal to them, might perk them up and so on. So I mean, if your nails are not killing people, well, hey, I don't want to have much to say about that. But personally, I appreciate the more natural form. The closer you are to your natural form, better for me. You understand? And just like what Fire say, I mean, if your natural form is that you know you don't have a protruding kind of ass or something like that, then you know do some squats or whatever. But I don't necessarily want you to go and get something pump up and Rasta.
All right.
No, no,
It's
no, no, no,
pretty
no.
sexy.
No Rastafari. Plenty, plenty
Okay.
fire.
All right. One moment. Hello. Um.
Yes.
Is,
Like I was saying, right, for me personally, sex is more than meets the eye, right? No, I mean, yes, they are women, and yes, you want to do that extra mile to let yourself feel inside like, you know, being your virgin, you're beautiful. But sexy and beauty for me is like the brethren just said, a woman in a natural state, right? I'm going to tell you this. Yes, a woman having a nice little panty and a nice luxury sex. But you see, when you have a woman that can completely cover her entire body, and yet as a man, she's driving you haywire, no, that is something to appreciate. Any woman can put on a lingerie and turn a guy's head, yes. You know what I mean? Because it's something, like I said again, we have killer instincts. So you see a woman with a nice little panty or a nice big ass and boom, your head turn. But for me personally, I like to see that woman that can wake up in the morning, still have on her big robe, and look at her, and then I'm seeing much more than just the body effect. I'm seeing down in her soul and saying, yes, she turns me on. Because any woman can just go to the club if you want to see a naked woman, yes. But when you have a woman that has on a pair of jeans and maybe a nice blouse, and that woman just drive you haywire, because it's how should I say, it's the curiosity for me. You
it's a
understand? And women
curiosity.
nowadays they make it too easy for men to see exactly how their bodies look.
Got
You
you.
know what I mean? Give me something to think about. Cover that body up and give me something to
Exercise
think
your
about.
imagination.
Let me wonder what's going on under there. Let me wonder, you know what I mean? What is? That's gonna keep me coming. Let me
Got you.
keep me wondering. Keep me excited. You know what I mean? Don't just let me meet you at the club and I already know over there. Okay, ask chicks black.
Got you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Kendall. Go ahead, man. Look at the comment section, man.
So I'm going to reiterate myself. You know, for a true king and a true queen, for a true king, women are a dime a dozen. For a true queen, men are a dime a dozen.
2 dozen.
And so our essence is not to have these surgeries and these um, many of these aesthetics that are going on right now. Now, back in history, we certainly use charcoal. We certainly use certain plants pigmentation to aesthetically, you know, uh, embellish. our bodies, right? We had beads and, we had copper and all sorts of jewelry to embellish. That's fine. But, what's going on right now is a total exacerbation of that type of being. And it's gone way too far. Real kings don't like that. Real kings like natural beauty, as Saran, alluded to. We love locks. We love natural hair. We love short haircuts. We love, natural skin. We don't. I mean, that doesn't please us to see, all these snuffleupagus eyelashes and all these you're adorned with all sorts of paint and nails like 1,000 yards long. That, I mean, that's you're actually just a mockery walking, right? As Fire alluded to, seeing your body augmented to the extent that you look distorted, right? And you take off your clothes and you have all sorts of bruises and stitches, and then it doesn't move right. It flops over to the left or flops over to the right. It doesn't. Who wants that? What really matters to us is your inner beauty. How do you speak to us? How do you make us feel?
Mm-hmm.
How do you treat our families? How do you treat yourself? How do you honor yourself? How do you love yourself? How do you take care of the children? How do you feed us? How do you nurture everything? That is a reflection of inner beauty. And all that inner beauty is paramount and exceeds the outer beauty. I know some women who are fives or sixes, but in my book they'll be a goddamn 12 because of how they are, their way of being,
Yeah.
their knowledge, their wisdom and understanding, and how they function and operate in life, how they move. You
Mm-hmm.
know, real men like real women, real queens. Everything else for little boys and males. You know, it's like I said, it's a bunch of nonsense going on, and it just needs to stop. If you're trying to get a real man, don't think that you have to do that, because you don't. If you feel that you have to do that, you're with the wrong person, or you're pursuing the wrong person, or you want the attention from the wrong person.
Mm-hmm.
We need to
True.
go back to the essence and deal with the core self and make that beautiful, and let that emanate from inside to out.
Mm-hmm. I got you. Definitely.
Rastafari. Let me just say one little thing to add to that. For me, enough enhancement for visual stimulation, but not for value. Meaning, if you're going to use
Said
all
it.
of this to add value to yourself, then that's a no-no.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of doing that for visual stimulation, something that will attract and appeal to the man, we can deal with a healthy amount of that. But when you start having all these things, and to you, you're doing it to add value, to say something about who you are, then there's where it get off the rail.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I
actually a
So
lack
it's
of
enough. So
esteem.
it's enough for visual stimulation for us, but not for value.
I
It,
agree.
it
I want to
demonstrates a
bring.
lack of esteem.
I
Actually,
want to bring
it
in.
it
Sorry.
shows
Go ahead.
you it shows you that you actually don't value yourself. You don't think highly of yourself. It's actually an indication that you have low self-esteem, and you actually don't like yourself. In some instances, you actually hate yourself.
You have not found your value.
I hear that. I hear that. I want to see. Ramona says, I think it's a dependency on makeup, wigs, to feel confident and beautiful. Nothing is wrong with it, but you should also feel confident without it. Antigua men are not. Let me see what Antigua man do again. Remember, you're the only one that can back up Naras. Says, um, let me see. Are not sure what they're seeking for in a woman, what they're fascinated by is not what they're connected to. Some will come across a woman who is spiritual and is trying to tell her she needs to be independent because she wants a status. Lord, look, Sergeant, what you doing here today? um, so why do men turn their oh, Charmaine, thank you. So why do men turn their heads at the fake ones?
Well, we at the end of the day, men are men. We all love beauty, and sometimes it's so distorted and so coonish that you just got to look and laugh.
Bro, real, like he's dead on. I mean, so look, I've been at a track meet with my son, and there have been a woman who has done ridiculous things to her backside. I mean, it's just so big, right? I'm looking and I'm snapping a photo real quick, boom, so I can send it to my wife, so and show her how ridiculous this girl's backside is. I mean, if we're turning our heads, we're like in awe, like I can't believe she did that to herself. Not oh, I want to take her home to my mom and make her my wife and procreate with her. That is not what goes through our minds. And Sam,
True.
my brother, my little bro, Bethel Sam Trent said, he said it's not about what turns the head. Did he give you his heart? There's a difference between love and lust. There's a difference between something that is sideshow, freakish, coonish, ridiculous, and something that I want to put my head on at night. You know, like so I will spin the question back on you ladies.
Hi, I hope y'all ready.
Buckle up, because you hear Brother Isern, you hear wind, you hear fire, you heard the lady in the comments saying most conscious men or most kings, most men that I know like natural women. If that is the case, why are you doing it? Who are you doing it for?
I mean, perfect question. And I'm looking at let me see who that is. I'm also reading
I
this.
believe the answer will be along the line that they're doing so to add value.
To
To
add
themselves.
value, I would
Yeah.
definitely agree with that.
Well, some women are competitive towards themselves. Some women dress for other women.
Yeah.
Hey,
So that yeah. It's like a ego trip or you know,
So you'll get yam and everything back for you in this week, right?
um
But at the end of the
what
day, it's all other than self. You know.
I think that's the majority of it, Win. I think the majority
Exactly.
of it,
That's the foundation of it all.
if we being honest.
I
And
agree. And
it's so unfortunate because we have these generational gaps where, many of the young people haven't been exposed, to our culture and our history because of various policies, various, wars and drug epidemics and all sorts of things that have written our community. But for us that know, it's our responsibility to say it and bring it back.
I wanna highlight the comment that Smiley made. She said, "Women, we create the men we want. Until we are conscious enough to be comfortable in our own skin, our men won't be comfortable, even if our asses are big from here to Timbuktu." I mean, exclamation marks. I completely agree with you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it. I'm one of those persons. You would always hear me say that. I honestly believe, as magnetic beings that women are, we set the standard because we're the ones who do the pulling. So if we go here, that's where you're gonna go. If we go here, that's where you're going to go. So at the end of the day, I think there's a huge responsibility lying on the backs of women because it's what we accept. And believe you me, we are so powerful. And if we understood that, we would recognize that we have the power to change every single one of them men out there. If when we saw pants sagging below the butt and that was not appealing for us, and we said, no, we're just not accepting that, believe you me, the pants would not be there today. But it's what
True.
we accepted, you
True.
know. If we said, this is what we want, you heard what Fire said, right? Very few things excite them. And we are the pull. We are the pull. We are the magnetic ones. And so if we elevate our standards, believe you me, they're going to come up there to meet us.
True.
Anyhow, Lord, look at the time. Lordy! um, this was a true gift. For those who are enjoying it, I get it. Look, part 3 is a must. Is a must because I do want to touch before we go. Let me see what else is there. Like the gentleman said before, the beauty industry preys on the women's insecurities. Absolutely. And that's another thing. Going back to what Wynn said, we're operating in a society now that is not anything reminiscent to who we are as a people. And I speak to the core of who we are. This commercialization of everything, the consumerism, we have to open our eyes. We struggle, and this is another thing I hear. Oh, eating healthy is expensive. The wigs are not. But it's the things that we put priority on. And this is not me judging our people, but it's a real thing. I will see people, they have to get their nails done every week. They have to do, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's not like I'm knocking it. But what do you put value on is another thing altogether. Eating right, I mean, you function right. You function better. And at the end of the day, the different things that we gravitate toward, the different things that we think that will pull this man to us. I mean, we really have to question what we're doing as queens. Um, oh my goodness, look at the comments. I can't even keep up with you all. Oh my good. They really came and delivered, Charmaine. No two ways about that. Okay, so
Go through some of the comments. It's part of the show.
oh my goodness. It's also part of programming that's being said there. What we women need to worry about is to get to get the inside of the body right. Oh, you're on the right platform if we're talking about the inside. Clean the inside so the man can really enjoy all that his mate has to offer. Like for JJ Steam to fix that dry. Look, hello. Queen, y'all setting me up today, man. They came and they really showed out. I mean, sister, talk the truth. Talk the truth. It's so much more than the superficial. I do want to wrap up on wellness. You're on the wellness queens. You know what we do here. And especially for the kings who are listening or who will listen in the future. And of course, when we speak about wellness, it's not limited to, it's not gender specific. And so I know the kings that I have on the panel, y'all are not here by accident. You know what I mean? There is huge admiration for what you guys do. And that's why the invitation was extended. And so I know some of the things that you guys do, but if you would share with the public some sort of wellness tip that you engage in. Again, wellness is your state of being, and you guys are not. You don't be the way you be unless you have mastered some element of your wellness. So, if you could share with us as a parting tip, what is necessary for for us to be happier and healthier.
I'll go keep it simple. One of the things that I've been practicing for the last year and a half, is listening to my body. So that's what I want to give to you guys. It's, there's all kind of diets and tips and tricks and things out there, commercialized diets from Atkins to keto to paleo to you name it, right? Just listen to your body. If you really quiet your mind and you really take inventory on how you feel after you consume certain things don't work for you. They may work for the next person who even shares the same blood type, but they don't work for you. So, or you may be in the same family, but it doesn't work for you. That's all that matters. Really, really listen. If you eat or consume anything and you feel foggy, sluggish, bloated, filled with mucus, or you start to develop a lot of mucus and phlegm in your throat and your nasal cavity, that's a sign. If you consume certain things and you cannot relieve yourself in the bathroom, one or two, it's not flowing right. Something's not right. It doesn't smell right. The color's off. Like, listen to your body. If you sleep 8 hours and you feel sluggish, brain fog, but when you sleep 7 hours, you feel rejuvenated. Whoever said you got to sleep 8 hours a night, throw it out the window. You need 7. Listen to your body.
Got you.
Listen
Got
to your
you.
body.
Thank you, Fire. Who wants to go next? Isan, you want to take it?
Yeah, well, just to underscore what the brother says still, you know what I mean? That's perhaps one of the surest way to approach things, for the simple reason that everybody system they work alike, as we say, you understand? And so if you're listening to your body rather than generalizations about how you approach things, then you'll be more true in terms of how you deal with yourself, because you're responding to what your particular condition is and so forth. So yeah, man, I totally support that approach. Well, I don't want to think like the only way that a person can be healthy, all right, is to be a vegan necessarily. You understand? Because I've seen situation where, a person may not be a vegan, they might eat some fish, something else, and they exercise certain level of moderation and so forth, and they seem to be doing good. You understand? So I don't want to generalize where that is concerned. But in my personal journey, coming into Rastafari, I made a change and go into being a vegan in that process. And so if I was to advise anybody, well, then I'll have that personal bias. Come this side. You understand? You see, listen, I have not been to a doctor. This is not saying that I'm healthy necessarily. I'm not claiming health on this basis, but it has to mean something. I have not had anything happen to me in over 25 years that would cause me to go to the doctor. You understand? I'm Rasta like about 30 or so years. So I shift into this vegan way of living, and in that time span, I have not had anything that caused me to have to go to the doctor, really and truly. I've been good. Of course, you can always improve. And one of the areas that I personally am targeting is the physical part of things. To get in a physical exercise program. I keep my mind pretty healthy. The psychology, to me, psychological health, very, 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 very important. You understand?
True.
For example, just to share a little thing there. At work, they have a safety program, but the focus is primarily on if you walk and you trip over a stone or something like that, physical. But they don't think about health in terms of psychology. All right?
Okay,
So
yeah.
now they have this militant program. Everywhere you turn in the workplace, you're seeing something about safety, as if, well, you're in a minefield. And I will get concerned now about the psychological health of living in such an environment. Where you come to work and it's like you're looking all around to see where possibly some kind of, injury or something can
Yeah.
happen. You're just constantly preoccupied with that as a way of saying you are trying to be safe and having something for every possible eventuality. To me, that would be psychologically stressful. You understand? So to me, it's a kind of balance wheel. So part of health is to keep a good psychology, some positive thoughts and these things. Those part of things I've been able to just nail those down firmly over the years. So I'm now just going into other area, making the physical part even more, the dietary part even more better. Because we come in and we consume a lot of soybean and so on. You know what I mean? Chunks, tofu. Now, over time, I'm learning like these are like the vegan junk food. You understand? So now I'm looking to dump eat. Well, I've not been eating these things anyway. But those are some of the adjustments that I make, although I'm already into vegan eating. You understand? To get rid of tofu and some of these other things in that form of eating that is not so healthy. So that will be some of the tip, It's everything is a step by step, but these are steps to be taken, I would think.
Definitely. Thank
Respect.
you.
So,
King?
so the Bible says it like this. It says it's not a physical war, but we fight against spirit and principalities. And what that means is that we fighting against constructs, we fighting against paradigms that are antithetical to who we are in our essence. And to effectively thwart that, we have to expose ourselves and read more. Like Saran said, our psychological well-being, our mental well-being is paramount. And to thwart the foolishness that we've been inundated with, we actually have to read and study and educate and expose ourselves to constructive things that are going to move us forward and progress us in a healthy and happy and well manner. We have to inundate ourselves with our true culture, learn our culture and our history, and then that'll transform our way of being on an everyday basis.
Wow.
Give yourself time to think. Many of us don't think no more. We just so automatic every day, just doing stuff. And it's because we don't take time to sit down and think. We don't sit down and reflect about our relationships and how we're being with other people and how we're treating ourselves. And that's because we're so busy doing all sorts of shit. And it's not really healthy and pushing us forward. So make sure you go out and get some fresh air. The things that you have to do for health and well-being doesn't necessarily have to be grandiose. It's the little things that count. Get you some fresh air. Get you some sunlight. Take your shoes and socks off and walk in the grass. Appreciate life and the earth. Go see a sunrise and a sunset. Take a look around and appreciate life. The pathway to understanding abundance and having a healthy and happy life is appreciation.
Gratitude.
And if you don't appreciate shit, you're going to destroy shit. So we need to stop destroying. And the pathway to that, like I said, take a look around and appreciate.
Thank you. Wow. Gratitude. Gratitude. Endless, endless gratitude. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, and
Across the
that's the psychological part of it, because I just want to just add one more thing, as it pertains to having knowledge, as Win was saying. You understand? To have knowledge about your emotional state is important too, because you can actually know when you've just been through something traumatic, to then go and seek to balance things out in your own psyche, that you can have healing. Sometimes may not require, your healing may not be dependent upon somebody apologizing to you for something that they would have done that caused you hurt. Sometimes the hurt might come from the way you process the thing.
right.
And then you find yourself having to heal yourself by correcting your own thinking.
Yeah.
You
True
see,
that.
and so to understand what goes on with yourself, even at the emotional level, to know when you need to go into your own thoughts and balance these things out, that you can be on a level. It's very important too. And I'll say that that's connected to the part about knowledge, acquiring knowledge about yourself and so on, and how you're constituted and how your system work, you know.
Yeah,
A lot of healing can happen by yourself if you have this kind of perspective, you know.
True, true, true.
we're in a state of survival, and we have to get to a state of thriving and flourishing. And to do that, we have to deal with effectively our traumas in our past and our issues. And you have to seek the professional help. You have to create friendships and relationships of sound-minded people, of good people to bounce ideas off of, and or to help you correct yourself. You know, some people that would tell you the hard truth, like what you did right there was just fucked up, and you need to stop doing that shit.
True.
And this is why you need to stop doing that shit, because it's not healthy, it's not productive, it's counterproductive. You'll never have a relationship like that. You need some serious people around you, not just yes men.
True.
Otherwise, you'll get in a circle or storm of toxicity, and you'll never get out of it. So friendships, relationships are important. Establish great friendships and relationships, and have them support you and you support them. That's health and well-being.
Ah,
Listen. Let me say this
listen.
quickly. Wait, and I'm no. I have to compliment them guys. Them guys are extremely impressive Rasta to eye. You know what I mean? I mean, as a Rasta man, you see, in our road, our culture is about this conscious thing. And I'm looking at two people that they don't look Rasta, so we're gonna say they are not Rasta. But I'm telling you, the stuff that you're talking is galactical Rasta, you know what I mean? And I'm a truly feel honored to be on the panel with the man and them Rasta, the man and them. I mean, the man they have with certain excitement here that I mean, me are cool to listen to man and them, you know. But inside of me, me just so like that, because them guys just attack this thing so real, so clear. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Big respect to the man and them Rasta. Big respect.
Likewise, brethren.
Real God talk, the man and them put down Rasta.
Real,
I'm here
real.
rooting them for me right now.
And you're not alone. Believe me, you're not alone. And it's because of the three of you. So while you're shooting credits their way, you're included in mine. I am so grateful. So very grateful. Um, this it, this wasn't by accident. This wasn't by accident. And I am honored to have been your host, to have you on the platform, and must do again. Must do. For those who are listening live, I appreciate all the comments. I know I didn't get to everybody's stuff, but more power to you. I read every single thing. But you know, when your ears being bombarded by the gems, you know how the thing set up, you know. Thank you guys so much. Kings, It's an honor. It's an honor. It's an honor. It's an honor. My heart full. And believe you, like when I did Queen Things one, I'm gonna be high for days. This was definitely memorable. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I just want to close on we need each other. All the fire emojis, all the different the consensus, the appreciation for what was being said. It speaks volume as to how much we need each other. It's all well and good to constitute yourself in a particular way where you can thrive and prosper on your own. But at the end of the day, we need each other. It may not be, no, I'm not saying we all have to have our own king and this and that. We need each other for community building, and everything that was shared today is testament to that. We didn't hear what we heard today on Queen Things, and it's by perfect design. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Bless up everybody. Thank you. Hi, Oshun. Hi, Queen. How is St. Kitts? Keisha, you're gonna have to watch it over. You missed look nuclear bomb then drop in here. Thank you so much. Before I go, I have to do house cleaning, or else I probably will be getting harsh words later. Plant Power Detox is coming up really soon, people. Um, get on board. Get on board, clean the spiritual. Again, it's mind, body, soul detox. So look out on my page for information to come soon. And when I tell you this time around, it's going to be powerful because I have this type of energy running in me for this one. So I'm super excited about this cycle coming up. And thank you. It is with gratitude. Honest to God, when I started doing plant powered, not plant power detox, but royalty with Saran, I know what my intentions were. And to be very honest with you, it's not the shape or the form that I pictured in my mind, but because of a wise king, his insistence on making imperfect actions. And believe you me, what I envisioned has been superseded today in terms of content. I'm very, very blessed. And I hope everybody enjoyed it for what it was because we got blessed today. Today was phenomenal. Thank you. Thank you, Fire. Fire coming with the fire. Like it well, born for it. Thank you, Wind, as always, in always. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You know personally, um, I couldn't do what I do today without you. So hats off to you always. Ras, Ison, thank you. Thank you for
Yes, I. But,
representing the Antiguan men because
yes, I. But I tell you, Jed, I can't get over them guys, Jed. You guys are really awesome, Rasta. Me tell you. You know what I mean? You guys are really awesome with your reasoning. I feel blessed myself as much as I'm contributing. You see, this really powerful. This really powerful.
Yeah. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
I'm a little short for words.
Next week we're gonna try and see if we can make the king and queen smash up. So y'all don't know. The kings and the queens on the same platform. Look out. Bring your extinguisher because you don't know.
Yeah, but on a more serious note, can I just say this quickly? For all the ones who in, because I mean this is a lot of love that come out in the information in totality. I guess that's why hitting me up so much is the love of it. You understand? And I really hope that the ones who are listening or who will hear this, because you have other people that will hear it after the live, that they really can take away something from it and can really bring some enrichment, some light, you know what I mean, some motivation into them really, because this is really powerful stuff. I mean, I'm participating and I'm awed by the whole thing same time. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to say that, I really hope that this really reach people and it bear fruit abundantly.
Thank you. Thank you, Raj. Sunday. Today's Sunday, the 10th of July. Give thanks for life, everybody. Have a powerful, powerful week. Look out for more information on my page regarding the detox. And I'll see you again next Sunday with another fire episode. All right. Peace and blessings, everybody.
Peace.
Powers.
Love and respect.